Dulce base may not physically exist, but paraphysical phenomena seem to haunt Dulce, New Mexico. I began my research on the UFO phenomenon around 1961, and that's more than 50 years of continuous study. And after more than 50 years of research on this topic, I can clearly state that the UFO phenomenon seems to be real, even though I have personally never observed what I can confidently say is a UFO so far. But yes, I believe in the reality of the UFO phenomenon. However, I can also state that the UFO phenomenon does not constitute conclusive evidence of actual physical ET visitations by physical extraterrestrial biological entities piloting or maneuvering physical extraterrestrial spacecraft of any kind. There is more to this phenomenon than the physical ET hypothesis. I'm also highly skeptical of the existence of authentic UFO artifacts. In fact, there's not a single physical, tangible, solid, as well as credible documentary evidence whatsoever that we have ever been visited by physical extraterrestrial biological entities in any physical extraterrestrial spacecraft. By the way, Area 51 in Nevada and Dulce, New Mexico are two of my favorite topics. I can confidently state that there seems to be no evidence of any UFO or alien connections to Area 51 in Nevada, which I have continuously researched since around 1988. To me, Area 51 is a very important U.S. Air Force research, development, and testing complex for advanced military weapon systems integrated with avionics and aeronautics, and continues to expand every year. It involves our hard-earned tax dollars and rightfully deserves its role in protecting our nation from global threats, domestic or foreign. As far as Dulce is concerned, there's no evidence at all that there is a U.S. alien collaborative biological underground facility or base in Dulce, New Mexico. Yet, reports of sightings of strange objects seem to continue in the Dulce area, indicating that the phenomenon itself seems to be active in that area. Yes, as I stated earlier, the UFO phenomenon seems to be real. There is no question about it. By the way, the phenomenon itself is not new. It has existed since time immemorial. There are historical records of people seeing strange objects in the skies throughout history, such as flying shields. The depiction of the object seen seems to correspond to the cultural as well as technological understanding of the people of each era. In modern times, the objects seen seem to be more aerodynamic in form. In the late 1700s and early 1800s, people reported seeing strange objects that appeared to be huge, rather crude-looking airships. Later on, actual airships and other dirigibles were built by the U.S. In the early 1980s, when the U.S. was testing prototypes of stealth aircraft, there were many reports of humongous flying triangular craft over the East Coast, which had nothing to do with prototypes being tested by the U.S. Air Force. Reported humongous triangular craft, sometimes reported to be 3 or 4 times the size of a football field, hovered absolutely silently in the night skies. No, they did not belong to the U.S. Air Force. The UFO phenomenon seems to occur frequently in certain areas, such as Dulce, New Mexico. A flying saucer incident in Dulce, New Mexico took place in the late 1960s. According to a testimony given by former Dulce, New Mexico resident Darren Vigil Gray, it was in the late 1960s that this amazing incident took place on Highway 64 between Dulce and Lumberton. At that time, Darren was a 4th grader on the Jicarilla Apache Reservation in northern Rio Arriba County. At around 6:30 a.m. that particular morning, he claims he saw a flying saucer on his way to a parochial school which was located in nearby Lumberton. A dirty metallic-colored disc, about 20 feet in diameter, passed about 50 feet in the air over his school bus between Dulce and Lumberton, he said. It created all this chaos on the bus, Gray said. He said his brother, then a sixth grader, yelled, "It's a flying saucer!" But the priest driving the van didn't stop to investigate the phenomenon and instead stepped on the gas. Gray said the disc appeared to come from Archuleta Mesa and continued for several miles over the low hills south of the highway. He said cattle mutilations soon began to be reported in the same area, and the mesa was said to be a sort of UFO base. "The experience really changed my whole scope," said Gray, now a well-known artist in Santa Fe. This incident was also confirmed by a former Dulce rancher, Edmund Gomez, who was also among a dozen students in that school bus. The Gomez family had the largest ranch in the Dulce area at that time. Beginning around 1975, the Gomez family began to report many incidents of cattle mutilations in their ranch, which were soon investigated by State Patrol officer Gabe Valdez, who was assigned by the state of New Mexico to find out what was actually happening. To this date, the cattle mutilation incidents in the Dulce area of those years still remain unsolved. Both Edmund Gomez and the late Gabe Valdez have expressed their belief that it was the government and not the aliens that were perpetrating these incidents, and that it may have had something to do with the government's attempt to covertly investigate the radiation effects on local cattle resulting from the 1967 underground nuclear experiment, Project Gas Buggy, which took place about 22 miles southwest of Dulce. But getting back to that strange incident involving a flying saucer in Dulce, Edmund Gomez stated that he was also in that bus and was a witness. There were more than a dozen students riding in the bus, he stated. This incident was mentioned in the Albuquerque Journal by Tom Sharp on April 5, 1996. To me, here's the bottom line, and it may sound stranger and stranger. The phenomenon appears to me as a temporary paraphysical intrusion into our physical dimension by an unknown intelligence or unknown sentient entities paraphysically materializing themselves to a pre-selected observer or a group of observers and presenting to the observer as a physical phenomenon. The pre-selection also seems to include a particular location as well as a particular time. The phenomenon seems to be able to materialize and dematerialize at will. Great researchers such as Dr. Jacques Vallée, John A. Keel, and Dr. J. Allen Hynek all seem to be in agreement here. However, the phenomenon does not seem to be able to survive in our physical dimension except for a few seconds or a few minutes at a time. According to these researchers, the phenomenon seems to be able to temporarily affect our physical parameters such as radar and so on. Yet the phenomenon also seems to be incapable of being photographed with clarity, if at all. And here comes my personal belief. It is my personal belief that in this incredibly vast universe, or better yet, multiverse, there exist what I describe as paraphysical entities, sentient entities, both benevolent and malevolent types. They have coexisted with us since time immemorial. It seems that the benevolent types are seldom seen in their temporarily materialized form, but it is my personal belief that they are doing good works without being visible, often giving us protection from perilous situations. The malevolent, deceptive entities are the ones that are paraphysically materializing themselves and presenting themselves as physical alien entities from advanced extraterrestrial civilizations originating from outer space and piloting or maneuvering their extraterrestrial spacecraft. No, I doubt very much that they are extraterrestrial visitors from outer space, but rather a newly disguised version of extra-dimensional tricksters of old. By the way, I will be speaking on this topic at the 2018 Dulce Base UFO Conference, which will be held on June 23rd and 24th in Dulce, New Mexico.